Whoops, my mess wasn't that big, but kind of
Oh, I definitely just got it off the laptop. Awesome.
big. Uh-oh. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Seltzer Time Podcast. It's your boy Ricky, a.k.a. Dick Chuck, a.k.a. the man behind the can at Seltzer Time Official. Here's always my conversation accomplice, the man with the hunch about Worcester, Travis.
What is happening, Carbonation Nation? Welcome back to the Seltzer Time Podcast. That's right, I'm switching it up. We're changing it up. We're keeping it fresh. We're keeping it fizzling here at the Seltzer Time Podcast. And as always, we are glad you're with us. This week, we have no guests. You're stuck with the two boys.
You're welcome, people.
Yeah, seriously. We have some projects going on outside of the Seltzer Time Podcast that we wanted to talk to you about. But before we get there, you know what we have to do. Hey, Ricky, nice bandana.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, so I have been on a very big bandana kick recently. I don't really know why. It just kind of started as a joke, and I've been wearing a bandana for like 4 or 5 straight days now.
Well, didn't your girlfriend get you a bandana for your anniversary?
Yeah. So she got me this thing from Hank's Kerchiefs, which we talked about on the podcast a couple weeks ago. And I was using it for a mask, and then I put it on my head again, like kind of as just like messing around. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of dope. I think I'm just gonna live this life for a little bit. So I have been. Went to my parents yesterday to help with some outdoor yard work stuff, and I got there. My dad's like, "What are you doing?" And my dad used to rock a bandana working outside. He used to have longer hair, so it's kind of funny. I was like, this is my thing for right now. And he was like, "Okay, that's whatever you want to do." So
this is me now.
This is me now. Awesome. So yeah, been rocking bandanas. Listening to a lot of boy bands. That's about it.
You're about to try out for Survivor, and that's what I like about it.
It's kind of how I feel too. I working outside yesterday, get my hands dirty, doing some real guy shit. It felt right. And then today I was at Worcester packaging orders, also looking like this, and it's just I feel like I'm doing more with a bandana on. I feel like I'm I'm going to work.
It's inspiring motivation. Hell yeah, man. That's the least we can expect out of our clothing options. So I'm glad that's empowering you.
Yeah, it's not a thing I'm going to be able to pull off all the time. And then I know it looks like I'll be able to get a haircut in a couple weeks based on what was announced today. So once I get a haircut, it'll look pretty ridiculous to be wearing a bandana still. So I'll probably retire it then. But until then, we've got bandana boys for the next couple weeks.
Why not? That's what this part of our life is for. It's for exploration and doing things we wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, it's I could probably start taking Molly and just living that lifestyle, but that's not really my thing.
It's hard to get these days.
Yeah, instead of doing a bunch of drugs and shit, I'm just gonna wear a bandana and
you're just gonna look like you do.
Yeah, so that's it. That's where I'm at. Doing that.
There was a time in my life I tried to pull off the visor, the topless visor. I had it was a Fox or whatever, one of the BMX company visors.
Yeah.
I would try to spike my hair through the visor.
Okay.
You always look like a chode with the visor on.
Yes, yeah. The visor thing was never I never bought one. I never did that. I know I used to spike my hair. Don't get me wrong. I definitely had Newfound glory, pop, fucking punk.
That's right. That's right.
I still kind of do that. But yeah, the visor thing was never my style. So I feel like that's more of a golf guy thing, and then also I'm 22 years old and still think that 50 Cent's a great rapper. My ex-girlfriend got me this sick bling bling necklace, cost her $28, but it says gangster on it. That's kind of how I've always.
If I wear it too long.
Yeah. I'm wearing, my stepdad's oversized polo shirt. That's just how I've always viewed bandanas, or not bandanas, visors. It's never been a thing for me. It's a thing that I have always not really been on the same page as.
I needed you back then, man. I needed somebody in my ear being like, yo.
Don't get me wrong. I've made plenty of mistakes in terms of fashion. But that's just always been one that I've always been on the other side of the fence.
That grass was never greener.
No.
Fair deal.
But yeah, other than bandanas, just we kicked off Boy Band Summer the other day. I'm pretty excited about that.
Got an awesome response to that so far. People.
Yeah, that's a thing now. That's a thing that I'm gonna just champion for the whole summer.
Whole summer.
Yeah, the entire summer. I got yelled at by a couple people. So I got yelled at. First of all, I got yelled at because I started off with Bandana Boys. I only did that because I ended up becoming I'm a boy. Like I was born. This is how I am, you know. So I went with Bandana Boys, thinking like, whatever. I don't know. This is kind of a joke. I didn't expect it to go on more than one Instagram video, and then I've kept it. But I took a little heat because it was boys and not Bandana people, which is fine.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so I like switched it up a little bit. We went back to Bandana Buds, Bandana Buddies for a little while. I thought Buds was cooler because it's a little short. That way everybody's involved. It's all good. Then I started thinking about Hot Girl Summer, which was last year. And like, I was like, what the heck, man? Like, I can't wear a bandana. I guess like, I'm not even trying to like tiptoe that type of conversation. I'm just saying, like, it would have been funny to just have a video that said Bandana Boys without getting yelled at, but it didn't happen. So I was kind of bummed about that. Then I decided to go with boy band. It's boy band summer. I haven't yet been yelled at by anybody about it being boy band summer. I think that's only because there's literally nothing else I can call it if I'm listening to strictly boy bands. Right. But we'll see what happens. So that's the thing. So yeah, I've just been a lot of really catchy pop songs playing in my car.
Well, there is something we got to talk about. I don't know if I can get behind calling Boys to Men a boy band. Like Boys to Men is, I don't know. To me, they're not a boys band. They're like an R&B fucking powerhouse. Like Boys to Men is fantastic. I don't see them in that same category. But that was my only critique I had.
So like, I thought about that, but at the end of the day, they're fucking boy band. Like they were put together to be a boy band. That's just how.
I don't know
I don't know their entire story, but if you want to know a little secret, the Clash were actually put together by a record label. So at the end of the day, the Clash are a boy band. I guess if that's the way that we're going to classify boy bands, then the Clash are the best one ever because they were put together by somebody else. They didn't like organically become a band. They were put together.
So in that same, for instance, the Spice Girls are technically a boy band.
Well, so that's the thing is like, does boy band summer include like all of those like groups? Because that'd be sick. Then I could put like In Vogue in there and TLC and the Spice Girls and S Club 7 who have boys and girls. Like, I don't know. I guess it's like my thing. So I can kind of like make up the rules as I go. But is that, how do I want to, I guess I like haven't really thought that much about this. I just kind of like leaned into it and started to roll with it. And now it's taken on a life of its own. I think what I'll do, so the playlist is coming out later today.
Okay.
So when this podcast drops, the playlist will drop later today for Boy Band Summer. I think I'm going to make the executive decision right now, and we're going to include Spice Girls and
You do it.
Because you know what? Those songs are fucking better than most boy band songs anyway.
Yeah, and all those songs bump, and you were just, all I want to do is shake your rump.
It's true. I might put Mariah in there too. Like, I don't care. It's my summer.
Dang. So, I love it. I absolutely adore it.
Was your week full of anything besides bandanas and NSYNC?
I, once again, spent the entire week behind this computer. I blinked, and 3 days went by. We've been breaking it up with the walks.
Yeah.
Sarah took the little guy for a walk yesterday, our smaller dog, Rocket, he was pumped about it. We had done a hike in the morning over at Douglas State Park. Douglas State Park is fantastic. I've never been out there. My God, is it gorgeous out there. Tons of trails, tons of open space. Like, we didn't really come anywhere close to anybody. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's sick. I've only been out there once, and it was years ago, but it's a really, really, really cool spot. Is there a water slide? There's a water slide there, right? I
didn't see it. There's also a bunch of boardwalks going through wetlands I couldn't find.
Yeah.
There's a lot to explore. There's way more I got to unpack there. But for a chunky man like me, there's a lot of nice flat walks where you don't want going up and down the hills and huffing and puffing. So that was primo vista.
There you go.
Saw some wildlife, saw a big old chunky toad and a turtle sitting on a log, bunch of birds. Like, it was awesome.
Hell yeah. We saw a bunny yesterday. Like,
hell yeah.
Like right in our yard. I mean, I've seen bunnies all the time, but like we saw a bunny yesterday. It like came out of the little spot. Like there's like a hill that our neighbors have. So it came up like right up, almost like up to right where our little deck is. And we happen to be sitting out there. So we got to watch that, eat a bunch of dandelions. It's cool.
Dude, I've been sitting on my deck and just watching birds, just listening.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm tired of internet content. I'm tired of other people content. I want nature content.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth. Like I've been doing a lot of like stuff outside, which like on the deck, which is great. And we've been referring to our yard now as the pit, like fairly in the pit from like Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Because mostly it does go down, and like I don't know, it's just a great name for the side yard that we don't really use.
It's awesome. Yeah. We're making plans to use the yard. I mean, obviously, if we're hanging out with anybody this summer, we're gonna have to do it outside and so we want to have a cool spot at our control that we can just know is there and have some people over and see some people.
Oh yeah.
But so when we got back from that walk, my wife is crazy and she was like, all right, I want to go take one of the dogs for a walk. So she took the little guy for a walk, took him up through. Last night we're laying in bed and it's like 1 o'clock. I crawl into bed and I put him down because he usually stays here with me in the office. Crawl in and then he kind of comes up on my lap and I start scruffing around his neck. And all of a sudden I feel something and I go, no. So Sarah had gone up to use the bathroom, thankfully. So I turned on the light. At 1:30 in the morning, we're pulling ticks off this dude.
No.
6 ticks were all over him. Only one had gotten in, and he's up to date on his stuff, so he's good. But we still had to, like, 1:30 in the morning, I'm sitting here with tweezers. The tweezers are still right here, pulling them off and lighting them with a lighter to make sure they... So if you're taking any walks, it's great to be outside, but please, please, please make sure you're checking yourself.
Yeah, for sure. That's like my nightmare. We walked, what did we walk? We walked like 11, I think it was 11.2 miles on Saturday. We walked from like our place all the way down to Grove Street and then all the way down Main Street and then all the way back up Elm Street and around and up Salisbury and back over to here.
So, I consider it good if we do 4 miles. Fuck 11 miles.
Yeah, it was dope. We normally don't. No, so like our normal walks have been averaging like 3 to 4 miles. What's up, puppy?
You heard me talking about him.
Imagine if Larry came back and like they got in like a fight through the computer.
He would probably. So we've been watching cat videos to like de-stress just on YouTube or like cat and dog videos. And every once in a while, one will trigger him where he'll like start freaking out at the television.
Really?
Yeah, he's dumb. He dumb.
That's awesome.
What were you saying? So don't normally go 11 miles?
Right. Yeah, so most of our walks have been like 4 miles, 3 or 4 miles. And then like once a week, we usually get in like a big one. So our big one was on Saturday. We did that. It was like a little over 25,000 steps, which is a lot.
Damn, son.
I want to break 30,000 steps in one day. That's my goal for the next like couple weeks. It's supposed to be really nice like later this week. So I think I might try to do that. But my feet kill at the end of it. So the idea of doing like 5,000 more steps compared to what we did on Saturday is like, might be a lot.
I got insoles for that specific reason. I got some Dr. Scholl's for my hiking shoes.
Yeah.
One of the best investments I've made.
Okay.
Yeah. Could not suggest any higher.
So. I have this pair of like Asics that I wear when I know we're only going for like a short walk. And then because I've worn them once for like a long walk and they absolutely killed my feet. It was not a comfortable situation. And then I have these Nikes, which are way more comfortable and have like way more support on the bottom. I wear those when I know we're going to walk a lot, and they've worked out like really, really well. So pretty excited about that.
Oddly, I just remembered that I have a pair of shoes that I bought right before Corona hit because I just needed good shoes. I've been working in an office for a little bit, so I needed to be a little more presentable.
Yeah.
Sitting in my fucking closet. I have nowhere to wear them to. I haven't really worn them out. Like I don't normally feel this way about shoes, but I'm excited to wear these shoes somewhere.
Yeah, I love shoes.
Do you? All right,
I
I'm gonna
do.
grab these shoes. I'm curious what you think.
I'm a big shoe fan. So yeah, hey everybody who's still watching. Welcome to the oh, those are dope.
Right? I felt like, I don't know, Bruno Mark. I've never heard of it, but we got it off of the internet.
Dope.
I want to wear them
like
somewhere. I can't.
Yeah, they look kind of like sneakers, like, but they're not.
They're like a sneaker boat shoe crossover.
Yeah, which is like probably something I would be into if I worked in an office. Be more my style. I've never been a big like dress shoe guy.
Same.
But now that I'm a bandana guy, anything's possible. I guess I could start rocking dress shoes like when I do eventually go places again.
I feel like bandana guys go barefoot everywhere.
They do. That's not really my thing. Like last year was my first summer, like really, like I leaned into sandals last year, which I've never done. I've always been a boat shoe guy or like a sneaker guy. Yeah, last year was my first year like into the sandals since I was like a little tiny kid. So this is my first summer with a bandana. So yeah, so maybe like I don't know, who knows? Maybe later this year I'll start rocking some dress shoes if I go anywhere ever again. I don't know. Are you excited for the restrictions to get lifted? Do you plan on going to restaurants at all?
No.
Me either.
We're gonna continue doing what we're doing. I mean, truthfully, I just want to see friends. So like
yeah, even that, like I can't see like going to a party, but I think like having a group of 10 people over in the yard is something that I look forward to doing. So
having my parents come visit from Connecticut and being able to like stay at the house for a couple days. Like even if they're staying sequestered, like I just don't want to. I'm not trying to risk anything. Like, is it cool?
Yeah.
I can hang out for a little bit.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I don't really. As a person who loves to go places and loves to be around people, it's not safe at all. It's not even like a question of like how you feel. It's literally science. Right. So I don't really see myself going to a restaurant and hanging out there for a very, very long time. Probably like through the summer. I'll continue to get takeout all the time. I'm all about that. That's great. But I'm hoping they don't lift I'm hoping they let restaurants continue to like sell beer to go. I've only bought beer from one place. I got it from Coney Island like a couple of weeks back when they first opened. I got 2 beers. But I think like watching how Armsby's done their business with like being able to offer beers that you literally can't get to go anywhere around here has been really cool. And I would love for that to be able to happen at least through the summer. I think that's the right move. So I'm really hoping Massachusetts doesn't drop the ball on that and kind of screw those guys over.
Well said. I mean, you know how I feel about the recreational industry and how, although I did get a new perspective, I think Mark offered it to us on the episode where they were afraid of people coming across state borders, which that was a concern I hadn't really considered at that point.
For sure, yeah.
Back shit like this, I would like them to open up the recreational dispensaries again.
Have they announced when that's going to happen?
So I missed the announcement today. I know you keep referencing it. I know it happened. I just didn't hear what he had to say.
Yeah, it sounds like, I don't know. I don't think that, I didn't see like an actual post.
Yeah.
What's up?
It's a 4-phase plan, but I don't think they posted any details.
No, there's a lot of details. I saw them like just before we got on this call. Naomi was showing me. So the headline came out last night that they were going to open like places of worship, construction, and manufacturing can start this week. That was announced today. And then I forget what the next phase is. I think the next phase includes basically places like Worcester where you're allowed to do like on-site pickup and on-site order fulfillment, but you can't like open your store. So that like my life doesn't change at all for the next couple phases. I know barbers can reopen, I think next week. I think that was part of it, but I don't know. There was a bunch of people complaining earlier today still about restaurants and stuff. And I was like, guys, like you do understand that if you open your business too early, your employees then come off of unemployment And then when your business isn't busy because anybody with a brain isn't going somewhere like that, you've now fucked every single person. But enjoy being open. That's really cool. So, yeah, I had that Facebook status drafted earlier, but I decided to delete it because it's not worth it.
I've been doing that too, where I want to post something really just being like, not get the fuck off, but I'm like, God, you're putting way more negativity out in the world than you're fixing anything.
Yeah, no, I've had the same thing. So
the other side to that argument that I keep hearing about the restaurants opening early is we all know like how a reputation can get tarnished by having something as major as like a health code violation, and how you'll always remember about the places that have the health code violation. You will go down in fucking infamy as the restaurant that had the COVID outbreak if you decide to open up early and get a bunch of people sick.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if a decade down the road, like that shit's still going to be on your reputation.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Some crazy way.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I don't own a business. I don't work in a restaurant anymore. Like none of that has anything to do with me. I just, using common sense, if you open your business early and nobody goes to it, you have now really made no sense at all.
Right. Yeah.
Enjoy being open, and I'm sorry to all your employees that you have pulled off of unemployment because you wanted to open to nothing.
I hope they turned you down and continue to collect unemployment.
Yeah, right.
All right. So at the top, we told you that this week we don't have a guest. So this week we are talking about the two projects that Ricky and I are kind of spending some of our extra time on outside of Seltzer Time and our other various things that we're doing. We lost Bandana Boy. Bandana Boy. Back.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry.
Not your chill. I didn't want to say anything just in case I wanted to cut all this. So this week, we wanted to talk a little bit more. I was hoping to get a little more information for you, our listeners, from this guy, the one rocking the yellow bandana, about this fun little project he started a couple weeks back called Stub Stories. So from the top, what is Stub Stories? And could you give us kind of like a super brief, I know we talked about it on the show a couple weeks back, but kind of like how did we get here and what have you been doing?
Yeah. So, okay. My favorite thing to do for the last 20 years, basically, has been to go to concerts and shows and stuff like that. So I have a scrapbook that my mom bought me back in like 2001, 2002, to put all my ticket stubs in, because I would save them and I'd like put them in like a little cork board and stuff. After a while, that was like wildly overfull. It was just kind of insane. So she bought me this, and I was like, "Oh, sick!" So I put some stuff in there, but I didn't take it that seriously. Like I kind of just like put things in there and kind of forgot about it. But every day or every time I'd go to a show, I'd get home and I would just throw the stubs like in the book. I didn't like tape them in or anything. I just kind of put them in there. Up until Corona started, and I, like everybody else, wasn't sure how long I would be sitting around, but I also didn't know that I would be as busy as I actually have been. So, one day I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Like, I'm going to finish putting that book together. So I started to do that. And like, we had talked to Katie from Timberyard, and she was saying how like she has her ticket stubs in a spot and like Marcus has his and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I have mine. So it kind of like re-energized my passion to like put that together. And I had all the time in the world. Then I decided like, I'm going to put this out there. For most of the shows that I've been to, I can actually like pinpoint a certain story, whether it was like about the show or about like dinner or driving to the show or there's a story that goes along with every single ticket stub I have, some way more than others. But I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to do something with that, even if it's just for myself. So I started recording it on my phone, which I'm still doing. I don't know how to edit anything. So it was kind of like a learning process to like figure out how to put 3 segments together. It'll get better for sure, but I hope.
Fuck yeah,
but yeah, so I just started to like, sorry, my foot was falling asleep. So I started to do that. I did like 5 episodes, like right off the bat. The original plan was to do it every single day. that became a lot to handle. It takes way longer to edit than I thought it would. It also, I still have work to do and I have other things going on in my life. So the idea of like just being on my phone and like recording an episode and editing it, recording an episode and
You're
editing it.
doing all the editing on your phone.
I'm doing everything on my phone.
Oh God, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of, I need a new laptop for sure. Like I just have like a really old MacBook Air. So like it's not that fast. It's actually like very, very, very slow. So I just do everything off of my phone, which has been fun. It's fun. I'm a little more like
yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little more comfortable that way too. Like I'm on my phone all the time. I'm not a big computer person, so I think the next step will probably be to get an iPad and do it on that. It'll be a lot easier. But yeah. So I've been doing that. It's been fun to kind of go back through. The first, I think 6 episodes are up right now. 5 or 6 are up. I haven't, except for the last 2, which were like, there were 2 Warped Tour episodes. I haven't gone back and looked at set lists from the shows that I went to. I just kind of did it all by memory, which was really fun, and it was cool. Then we got to the Warped Tour ones, and I was like, all right, wait a minute. I've been to a million of these. There's a million bands every year. I want to make sure that I'm like thinking of the right time. And I had a little more fun doing that, and it kind of gave me a better perspective of like how I want to do it going forward, especially now because like it's not a thing, but it's like slowly becoming a thing. And I really miss music, so it's become like this little passion project for me to like kind of like re-fall in love with bands and re-fall in love with music and re-fall in love with talking about it. And then kind of see where it goes. I've had a bunch of people hit me up about stuff. The DCU Center picked it up, which was really, really cool. A decent amount of shows have taken place at the DCU Center that I've been to, including like the next episode that'll come out this week is about Green. I think it's a Green Day episode, but it's about the first time I saw them. I have one page in this book that it has 3 ticket stubs, but one of them is my brother's, but it's for 2 Green Day shows. That's it. It was the DCU Center, and then I saw him at Gillette Stadium. But like, that's like a big one because it has a lot that went along with especially the DCU Center show. So I made this Instagram as a way to like kind of hold this in case I did want to do anything with it in the future. I didn't post about it on my personal stuff or Seltzer Time for the first like couple weeks it was out. I didn't tag anybody that I knew or that I went to the shows with. I only tagged like the bands that I went there with and like the venues, and the DC Center picked it up. So shout out Veronica for that one.
Yeah, Veronica.
Yeah, and then so last week she posted about it. So I was like, all right, like I guess this is like it's out in the world. Like I should probably like lean into it. So had a little more fun this week trying to figure out like what that's gonna look like and kind of how to do that. I guess.
Okay.
I've never had to figure that out for something that wasn't Seltzer Time. That was my own thing. But yeah, so I've been pretty excited. A couple like record labels started following my account, and random people have commented on like the YouTube stuff. So it's fun. It's fun watching it like get out there and be like, oh, there's like 30 something views on this thing, but we only have like 15 followers. Like who the fuck is watching this?
Right. Who's seeing it? That's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah. So it's been fun. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. I feel like this is something that I would really enjoy watching this if it wasn't me. So like doing it myself is kind of fun. And I've gone back and like, I actually don't even know if I've actually watched the full episode that I've done myself, but it is kind of interesting thinking about like a random person finding this and being like, oh, like I love like Plus 44. That was the first episode I did. It was the first page of this book. I'm not going in chronological order in terms of when the shows happened. I'm going in order of the book. Right. So it's all over the place. The music styles are all over the place. Like it's kind of wild. But my age from these shows is drastically different. So it's a very interesting thing to kind of go back and see like what my life was like then.
In the episode you just put up the other day, you had gotten free tickets to, was it Taproot? It was somebody.
No, That was a puddle of mud.
That's who it was. Yeah. That was a fun story.
Yeah, that's another thing. Some of the first couple episodes, the first 2 episodes are based on one show each because that page was based on one show each. The third episode is like a whole bunch of different things. I originally thought about like scrapping that after it was out and going back and doing like one show and making that like a couple different episodes of Stub stories. So I had that conversation with my buddy Kyle, and Kyle was like, no, like it's already out there, it's already out in the world, leave it, because the point of this is to grow it, right? So it's kind of interesting watching like the first episode when I clearly had no clue what I was doing. The editing is horrible. The way I set it up makes very little sense. And like, I'm only going to learn how to get better and how to structure the show better. And then, in a year or if I keep doing it that long, in a year, I can go back and be like, hey, I want to like revisit like episode 1 revisited and then do a proper breakdown. I can do some research into what the set list looks like and kind of jog my memory that way. So I'm probably going to do that. I mean, I'm not going to do that now. It'll be those first 5. Now I have an idea of how I want to structure things going forward. So.
Yeah, man. And you can change again. And that's the beauty of like, this is a creative endeavor. So it's going to continue to evolve. And as you come up with new ways to display your craft and display your information, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I mean, I know like when we first talked about it, you were like, oh, like if you ever want to have like a guest on to interview. And when I first started this, that was nowhere near an idea I've ever had. I was like, this is just me talking about shows I've been to. But I've had people reach out, which makes me a little more comfortable with being like, okay, people do want to see that. Like, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Because if I was at this show and you were at this show, we both, even though we're at the same thing, we both had drastically different experiences. It'd be cool to get those shows from another person's point of view. And like, I posted this Warped Tour one the other day. I could easily have on like my buddy Mike, who I went to the shows with, but I also know a couple people that were also there. And then Do 617, which is like a marketing thing in Boston, they had commented on it saying, and they tagged Sylvia, who like used to run mass concerts, and they were like, she was there. She has like a really interesting Tom Brady story about that weekend. And I was like, oh, that's kind of dope. Like, I could reach out to her and be like, hey, like, would you want to do like an interview about this and like talk about that show? Because you were part of the team that promoted it. You obviously had access that I didn't have, or pretend to have when we snuck into catering. But like, you have a Tom Brady story. Like, that's kind of cool. So who knows like what could happen with all this stuff. So it's kind of fun.
It's cool to see it from different perspectives.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little bit of a dick here and say that in the last episode that I watched, you said that you've been to 1 million shows and you want to talk about it. Do you know how many shows you would have to go to a day to have gone to 1 million shows by this point?
So my least favorite thing about doing this, and like you can ask Naomi, it takes me forever. This is my thing. I don't have to do this at all. It's not an important thing, but I didn't figure out an intro.
Gotcha.
Like there's no like consistent like, hey, what's up guys? Welcome to, like, we have an intro for the podcast. I didn't do that for this because I really didn't expect it to be anything. I thought it was just gonna be this thing that I made that like my dad I could go over there and like, hey, check this out. Like I did this. Like, so I really didn't expect it to be anything. And it's kind of like taking on a life of its own. But every time I record, I spend so long trying to get like an intro down where I'm like, what's up, you guys? My name's Ricky. And I'm trying to remember, like, more people who watch this don't know me. That's the point. Have an intro that like kind of explains what's going on, introduces me, but like gets all that information out there so that way I can just like get into the show. I have to figure out like a consistent intro. And yes, I've never been to 1 million shows, but I've been to
each. I did the math. Do you know how many shows you would have to have gone to?
No.
Day. You had to have seen 144.1 shows per day in your 19 years, because you said you've been going to shows for 19 years.
Yeah.
6,939 days. It is very likely, however, that you have been to 1,000 shows. If you do the math out and you go to about 100, I'm sorry, no, it would have to be like roughly 50 a year, a little over 50 a year at 19.
Oh, that's easily.
So
especially, so like, it's cool. It'll be cool too once, you know, when I get like a little further into the book, you start getting into like backstage passes and seeing bands and becoming friends with them and like traveling for shows that aren't just in Worcester or Boston. Like there's a lot of thing, and like then festivals and like, you know what I mean? Like it's exciting knowing, like I obviously did all this. So it's exciting knowing like what stories are going to be like really fucking cool and what stories like, you know, aren't going to be anything really. They're going to be, you know, some episodes are going to be 5 minutes. There's definitely going to be some episodes that are 20 minutes long. I don't think it'll go longer than that. Like I don't want to be doing stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not supposed to be like a long form thing. It's supposed to be just a quick little, you know, you can watch all these episodes in like an hour right now if you want. Actually, you can probably watch them all in half an hour if you really tried. Some of them are like 5 minutes, but yeah, I mean, like, it's exciting knowing that like the access that I was able to get a little further into the book is so much different than it was for like my first show I ever went to, where I was just like a fan, and like shows I go to now where like for the most part like just another person there. Like I don't have a backstage pass. I'm not on the stage. Like I'm not getting beers with these guys. Like, but there's definitely stories where that happened. So it's kind of cool. I'm excited to see what things look like in a month.
So I had a feeling that you had some pages coming up that you were really excited about. So in that same thought though, are there any pages that you know that are coming up that have stories that you don't really, like you're not as thrilled about remembering? Like there's gotta be, have gone to as many shows, there's gotta be some bad memories tied to some shows. And will you be honest with those memories too?
So like, yeah, for sure.
Just curious. I don't know how, like, just curious to hear your thoughts.
So like the whole point of this, so when I say there's stories, right, it's not like they're not necessarily all the best stories that I've ever, like they're not even probably that interesting. A lot of them are going to be more along the lines of like, if you know, you know, like you're not going to know who the people I went to the show with are, you know. I think like the part that keeps me excited is talking about these things that have happened, that I experienced this show this way with this person because I ate at this restaurant and we did this and then we did that. And like, but I think the part that like, if you're a random person from Nebraska who loves Newfound Glory, you're going to love the show because I've seen Newfound Glory a million times. But you're going to really like the fact that I can talk about seeing Newfound Glory from the self-titled record straight through now. And like those set lists are going to change all the time. And like, and same thing with like seeing a band like an artist like Bruce Springsteen. Like I've seen Bruce 5 times, but there's 3 that like really, really, really stand out. Okay. The other 2 were fine and they're great. And there's cool stories that go with those, but they're not going to be like a very like meaty story, you know. It'll be like, oh, like, that'll be mostly like set list focused. Whereas like the time I went with my dad, which was the 4th time I saw him, was the second best show I've ever seen in my entire life. And that, I mean, the set list was perfect. My dad was there. It was my dad's first time seeing Bruce Springsteen. And like those shows I'm really excited to talk about. Sure. There's the Newfound Glory show, which is my favorite show I've ever been to in my entire life. It was probably like the 50th time I've seen that band. They played in New Haven, Connecticut, which I had never been to until this night. I thought New Haven, Connecticut was Hartford. So I was like, it's like 45 minutes away. It's not. And I drove down there by myself in a snowstorm, and Caitlin was supposed to come with me, but she thought it was canceled because of snow, so she worked. So I literally went to
New Haven.
What?
Where did you see him in New Haven?
At Toads.
Bruce Springsteen? No, Newfound Glory.
Are you kidding me? If I ever saw Bruce at Toads, I would have died.
I would have freaked if he ever played Toads. I mean, he might have in his early days, but damn, bro.
No, so like those stories I'm really excited to talk about. A lot of the stories, a lot of the stories from, I just like spit on the table and said, "Excuse me," like there's anybody here. Just
Cameron didn't see anything.
Yeah, spit anything I want. But sorry, Naomi, I'm spitting all over the table. But yeah, there's a lot of those stories that are really cool because then my access was completely different. I was bringing drums to these massive bands and to these bands that I grew up loving and getting access to hang out with them and to meet them as people and to have dinner with them, to drink beers with them and see the show from the side of the stage. And like, things change. But those are really cool. But the coolest part of those stories to me is like bringing my brother or bringing my friend who loved this band that they've never seen. And not only do you get to see them, but like you get to be on stage or you get to like meet a member of the band. Like those types of things I'm like really excited to talk about because that's what I took from that. Like, yeah, it's really fucking cool to hang out with your favorite band that you loved growing up. But it's even cooler when you've done that like 6 times and then you get to bring this person who's never done anything like that and then they get to do it and they're like, wait, we get to do what? And you're like, yeah, we're gonna go grab a beer or like we're gonna go take a shot with the drummer or whatever. Like, so there's a lot of that stuff, a lot of travel stories too. Travel to a lot of shows.
Sure. I guess I was asking more of like, is there a ticket in there where Ricky got dumped at a concert or something like that you're like, page 16 is going to be a fucking doozy and I don't want to tell that story?
So not that I can think of. There's definitely shows that I didn't like that I'm going to talk about and I'll explain why I didn't like them. But there's no like.
Just curious.
Yeah, there's no like, oh, like this girl broke up with me at this show or like this horrible thing happened at this show. I mean, there's a bad. So it's weird. There's a show I went to. I guess like the worst thing that ever happened. I'm just gonna throw it out there right now.
What up? Let's do it.
So the worst thing that ever happened at a show for me was my grandma got really sick like 10 years ago. She ended up having cancer. She's fine now, but she wasn't for a minute. And the day she was going in for surgery was April like 10th or something. So what had happened was I bought my brother tickets for his birthday to see Kenny Chesney at Mohegan Sun, but he'd always kick his tour off with 2 shows there because it's like a small, it only holds 10,000 people. So we'd go for like 6 straight years. We went to one or both of those first 2 shows. So this one year I bought my brother tickets. Just the 2 of us went down. Right? Oh, no. What happened was I bought my brother a ticket for his birthday. So him and I were going down by ourselves. But the night before, I bought my mom loves Kenny Chesney. So I bought my mom a ticket, and her and I went down with my buddy Brian, and we actually had like amazing seats. She like caught a shirt. It was like my mom was like so stoked. It was awesome. The next day, so that was a Friday night, I think. And then the next day was a Saturday. My grandma was scheduled to go in for surgery. And at first we were like, okay. And like, we didn't know that when we bought these tickets. We had no clue like what was going to happen. So we went into it thinking like, all right, like mom and I are going to go down this night. And the whole time my grandma's like, you guys don't, like, you're not coming to the hospital with me. It's literally only going to be a couple hours. I'll be back home before you even leave. Like, don't worry about it. I'll call you guys, the whole thing. My aunt was going with her. It was like everything was like totally locked in. So me and my mom and Brian go down for this show, have a great time. Show gets over, and my mom's like, oh, I really want to go tomorrow with you and your brother, but it's sold out. So I'm like, well, let's just like see if they released any tickets. Usually they do that after they set the stage up. They throw like another 40 out there or whatever. So we go up to the box office. We ask them, and they did have a couple like single seats like spread throughout the arena. And she was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't care if I can't sit with you guys. Like, it doesn't matter. We're there for the show. So me and my brother, which I bought these tickets in like December. We're on the other side of the stadium or the arena. We're way in the back. Didn't matter. We were there. It's all good. My mom bought her ticket then after the first show, the night before the second show, and she literally was front row up against the stage. And I was like, how the hell did that happen? So my mom was like so pumped. She's never sat that close for an artist before. This is like one of her favorite, like top 2 or 3 artists ever. So she was super excited. It was going to be great. So the next day, my grandma goes in for surgery. Me, my brother, my mom drive back down to Mohegan Sun, get dinner. My aunt's like texting us, keeping us updated. Turns out it wasn't as easy as it was supposed to be. So we're in the show. My mom's like way in the front. Joey and I are way in the back. And we can see my mom, like, we're only like 6 songs into his set. And we see my mom walking like back. I'm like, where is she going? I thought maybe she's like going to the bathroom or something. And then all of a sudden she like comes down next to us and she's like waving us over. So we run out. We're like, what's up? And she's like, well, your aunt called. Your Nana's not doing too good. Like there was something happened. And I was like, okay. So she's like, we don't really know what's going on right now. She's going to keep me updated. I'm like, well, should we leave like right now? She's like, no. We're going to wait. They're going to let us know. So I'm like, okay, like keep me posted, I guess. So my mom goes back to her seat. Joey and I sit down. Now I'm like obviously very nervous. Like this is very strange. This was supposed to be a super easy thing. Then we see my mom walking back toward us again. And I was like, yeah, we might as well just leave. Because like there's no way this is good. So we ended up leaving. Long story short, we didn't get to stay for the whole show. My grandma ended up being fine after a very long time. But it was a very scary moment. That's probably the only thing that I can think of in this period. Like,
I was even picturing too, man. So
yeah, and that's just like a Spark Notes version of it. There was a lot, but yeah, it was that's the only thing I can think of. I think everything else is like a pretty positive experience outside of like some of the bands being not that good live.
Before we wrap up this segment, I guess the last question I have is, do you know what the most expensive ticket is in that book?
Yes. The most expensive non-festival ticket in that book was the third time I saw Bruce Springsteen. Paid $169 for one seat. That was the most expensive one that I can think. I'm pretty sure that's the most expensive ticket that I have ever paid for.
For a single artist.
I think so. I might be wrong.
That's more than I spent for a single artist.
I'm pretty sure that's the most expensive single ticket I paid for a concert. I've paid more for something else, but
for like a playoff ticket.
I've paid right around the same for a playoff ticket, but I paid a little bit more for like a musical thing.
Oh, Broadway. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna pay that for Broadway.
I'm trying to think of what our Taylor Swift tickets cost. I can't remember off the top of my head. If anything cost more than that one Bruce show, it was definitely that Taylor Swift show. But I really can't remember. I mean, most of the time my shows, like a big show, will average like $100, which isn't like the end of the world. It's fine. Like I kind of go into everything thinking like, well, 100's the max I'll pay. I've paid more, but I think that that Springsteen ticket is definitely the most expensive single ticket I've ever bought. I think. I honestly can't remember what the Taylor Swift tickets cost. That would be, if anything cost more than that, it was definitely that show, but I really don't remember what they cost.
I feel like the Broadway comparison is pretty spot on, because a show needs to be at the stadium level and needs to have like insane production value on the stage show side for me to even consider spending that type of money.
Well, it's also like, that's the resell. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a Bruce.
You're not getting at face value. You're getting it.
No. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously tickets that are face value way more expensive than that. The Bruce ones we got like kind of last minute. And we're definitely a resell. Sure. Which was fine. It's Bruce. Like, what are you gonna do? But
my point was, I guess $20 is like a lot for me for a ticket for like the bands that I want to see though. Like really? $30 is like, I'm investing some money in this concert.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm also lucky where I've gone to a lot of shows for free.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
like invest in like, it's my favorite thing to do. Like that's
Sure.
my passion. I really like going to shows by myself. So a lot of times it was like just me throwing in $100 towards something that like not many other people would want to go to with me, or like would want to spend that amount of money for it. Or also like if it was something like that I really, 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 really wanted to go to, and if it was like $100, like I would also sometimes like just cough up and get the other person in just because like I really wanted to go.
Sure.
But yeah, I've gone to enough for free that I don't mind spending a little bit more. And also like it's my favorite thing. So to me, I go into everything thinking like, all right, it's at least $100, which is not, it's a lot of people are like, you're fucking insane for willing to throw that.
That's cool that it's your passion. My buddy Rockwell's like that too, where you can go to a show by himself. I don't love the idea. I've done it once or twice, but they're more community based events to me, where you bring a crew.
Yeah. No, I think it worked out. So like the first show I went to by myself, it was not a work thing. It was that Newfound Glory show. And that was like a different scenario. So I like fell in love with going to shows by myself at that for sure. Which is a lot of reason why that's my favorite show ever. But then also like so like when I eventually started working at SJC, I would have to go to shows for work, which was the best job ever. And like, it's hard getting somebody to come with you on a Tuesday night to Boston, especially when a lot of that involves like hurry up and wait. Like you got to get there early, and then you got to like say hi, and then you just sit around. Or like traveling for shows, like bringing drums places, it is kind of the worst in a way, unless you're passionate about it, because you have to get there at like 10 in the morning for load in. You just bring these drums, but those drums have to come home with you at midnight. So you're spending 12 to 14 hours like in close to one spot. So if you're not cool with like hanging out a lot, being bored, or like going to restaurants and having to eat like 3 meals at a restaurant, it can be a lot. So I kind of had to get used to doing it myself, and I loved it. I loved every single second of going to shows by myself. This is why I don't drink seltzer when we record.
I'm sitting here sipping on this one. We've been going for almost an hour. We've gone 50 minutes right now recording.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So feel like switching it up?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So welcome to the second half of our episode. All right. So as some of you guys know, Travis was a part of a group. It's a group effort, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Group effort.
Cool. Part of a group effort to release the Worcester Quaranzine, which is cool. I like the idea of, to me, like when I think about a magazine or like a zine, I think of like an old school thing. So I like the fact that like you guys released this during a very new school issue. But yeah, so we wanted to like shine some light on that. I wanted to ask Travis some questions about it. Here we go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, take it away.
Cool. So I guess we'll start with where did the original idea for Quaranzine come from?
Yeah, absolutely. So my good friend Jess Curtin and I were teaching a class over at Outreach that we were calling the Worcester Youth Press Program, together with a woman named Claudia Snill and then Darcy Schwartz over at Outreach. They had started the program, which was educating a group of young students on the power of writing their voice, getting their voice heard, and actually creating and manufacturing their own magazines, or zine, which is just a smaller version of a magazine, typically ran off of a copy machine. They had done the program for one session, and I got brought in kind of here and there as like a visiting artist type deal, and helping the kids do a little bit of their layouts and getting them across the finish line, with my background being in graphic design. And then between the first and second program, there was just a little bit of shake up in terms of people coming in, people going out. So there was a position and an opportunity for me to get more involved with Jess. So Jess and I kind of retooled the program slightly and started developing it for these 7 students, all young women for some reason. It's not a bad thing. It's just we happened to attract a strictly female audience, which was super interesting because I was never a young woman. So it's been cool to see what their interests lie in, like the things that they're all very fascinating human beings. They all have these wonderful brains that are highly creative. But what happened was coronavirus hit and we had to switch up our tactics. We were going to have them all create one zine each based on their own topics. But it became very challenging to keep them focused during these Zoom sessions. And then even more challenging to figure out how to teach them and kind of work them through page layout and production by not being able to actually hand them something. So at that same time, Jess, her day job, she works in the education sector, and she has a student that she's working with that got an assignment from his teacher to start journaling his experiences. Because nowadays, or pretty much forever, when you're writing a paper in school, you need firsthand experiences, you need firsthand references, and you can't really find a lot of that through the internet. There are going to be students at some point in the future that are going to have to write about what life was like during these times. So essentially what this teacher has recognized is he's kind of giving his own students of the future a leg up and a reference or some research material to kind of pull from. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, isn't it? She loved that idea so much that she hit it with me. And she's like, what if we made a zine about this? And we were going to call it like the COVID-19 zine or like whatever. And then Quaranzine just like hit. I'm like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So it started with our 7 students. And in this first issue that we've put out, you can go to facebook.com/Worcester Quaranzine, QUARANZINE. You can read it for free online through issue. And then this week, probably as of tomorrow or the next day, we're going to start offering these for sale, these printed versions for sale for $5. And for $5, you get a copy of the zine for keep forever. Some weird comics drawn by kids and mixed in with, actual stuff drawn by guys that do poster art for bands.
That's so sick.
Yeah. Shout out Adam Cutler. So it's a super unique and eclectic experience, and you're going to help us continue the program and continue to teach these kids about the power of their voice and the power of getting their opinions shared. And then we're still featuring more and more independent creators and local creators. In this issue, we have like Studio DeBella's in here. Wash, he's a street artist around this area. I should know all this stuff off the top of my head. My buddy Thomas, who did my tattoo, he drew us an awesome little drawing. And we're going to keep growing. And we have like Victor Infante confirmed for issue number 2. He's the guy from the Telegram and Gazette. We have, a couple other people confirmed. But we're going to keep going with it and see what happens. We have 600 reads off the first issue.
That's awesome.
In just like a week's time, maybe a little longer.
Yeah, that's great. You just took my second question was, which artists were involved?
All right, I know, I'm kind of rolling through everything.
No, you're good.
Grim, he's a local artist, local street artist. He was involved. We really want it to be broad-facing. Like once we started putting this out to artists and like creators and writers, like there's a lot of people that want to share their experiences, and they all have different ways they create. They have some are writing poetry, some are creating these kind of a little more tactile or illustrative pieces. I think that's what makes this book so powerful, is that it really is broad facing, and like we're trying to find a little more ethnicity, a little more like diversity. That's a better way to say it. We need to add a lot more diversity to this thing, because the more diversity, the more experiences, the more understanding anybody can get about what happened.
For sure. That's rad. So if an artist wanted to get involved, how would you go about doing that?
Yeah, we are open for submissions. We absolutely are taking submissions. Hit up the facebook.com/Worcester Quaranzine, send us a DM, or find myself or Jess through our personal social, and we can kind of push you in the right direction. The only major requirements, we're 5.5 by 8.5 per page size. We produce it in black and white, traditional to the old school zine, kind of like that old punk style zine.
Yeah.
But we are trying to maintain an all ages audience. So
Okay.
we understand, this show especially understands, that sometimes you just need to curse to properly express yourself, but it just does not become appropriate for all audiences. And
Cool.
being that this has some students involved, like there's a young as 9, I think, in this issue. We want to have some younger creators. We want them to be able to consume it and enjoy it without censorship.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you'll be able to purchase it this week come out?
I believe so. We're basically putting our ducks in a row and doing it, trying to figure out how to do it right.
Yeah. So I know like right now, there's really nowhere to go and buy stuff unless you buy it online. But do you guys have an idea for like, will you be able to go to a That's Entertainment or a Bedlam Book or somewhere like that and buy this in person when you can do that safely?
We would love to. Like, that's absolutely what we'd like. We want to partner with Etsy. We want to partner with Bedlam. But we really want to take it a step further. Like, we want to give a couple copies to every library here in the city. And like, can you guys preserve these? Can you guys put these in some type of whatever record and have them available for anybody to come look at? We want to give some to the Worcester Historical Museum so that they can put it on file and kind of keep so like, we want these to be out there and to be approachable. If somebody wants to purchase their own, that's awesome. Help support it. We'll get you your own copy. But like, it's more to be read and less to be owned in my eyes.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. That's dope. And then, so I know you mentioned like doing it in like the black and white, kind of like an old like punk zine. What are some of your favorite zines?
Ooh, god damn, that's a hard ass question. I haven't really kept up with zines in a minute.
I mean, you can, okay, so I guess like that question, you could, I mean, I guess like, so what I wrote down was like, what was your inspiration? But then like going off of what you said about an old punk zine, in terms of like magazines you read, not even just zines, but like a traditional magazine growing up, what were some of the ones you read to kind of like lead you to this spot?
I mean, so like, you can kind of go through, oh man, these are great questions, Ricky. I just don't know.
Who knew I had it in me? Who knew?
Yeah. I would never say that. Like some of the old Riot Girl zines I would get my hands on. Some of like, I don't really remember some of those old, I would just get like my fingers on these random things and I didn't fully understand what I was looking at. I didn't read them to the full extent. I would just look at them for pictures and like the artwork.
Yeah.
And I started kind of like moving over into like more traditional style magazines. I read a lot of alternative press for a few years. I read a bunch of Revolver. So that's more like your traditional style media magazine. And then through that time, I learned a lot about like the punk scene and a lot of those old school punk posters where there was a lot of cut and paste. I look like a poser right now because I can't sit here and list off like some of these good ones that I used to read, but like I read a lot of art mags now. I read a lot of like high production magazines, and I feel like a lot of that is lacking in some of that old school, just cut and paste and a little more gritty, a little more, I don't know, from the streets.
No, I think it's cool. I think so. I was reading it. I have a buddy who works in marketing for like a massive company, and he posted a thing the other day that was like, you know, in February or whatever, it was like millennials value experience over things. And then now it's like, well, now that we've hit Corona, it's like millennials now value things over experiences because you can't really go enjoy an experience anymore. In terms of the zine, I think, so like when I think about that on like a local level, right? I think about, in terms of retail, like nobody goes to a mall, but everybody goes to Crompton because that entire building is an experience, you know, like you go in, everything's old and like and cool. And like, there's a plant store and a bookstore and they both have their own feel and smell. and you obviously take different things from there. And you've got Birch Tree, which has, that's where you eat and you meet, and everything happens there. And then downstairs you've got like Crompton Collective. And when I think about a zine, it's kind of like that, like especially like what you guys are doing, where you're bringing, a little bit of everything to the table, putting it all together in one spot, kind of like Crompton did, and then you're curating an experience that way. Do you guys have like, is there like a dream like layout? Like, do you want to have a comic section and like a music section and like a, you know what I mean? Like a food section? Is there an end goal like that? Or do you want to keep it kind of like this like mishmash of content coming at you in one spot?
So Jess and I haven't really like talked about where we see this thing going in terms of the Quaranzine. I don't want to keep making it.
Yes.
To keep making it means we keep living in quarantine. Like, I want to be able to stop making it. I want us to all be able to go back to what we knew as normal life.
Yes.
Our loose plan is to continue to release it while there is nothing else going on. We also want to open it up to some school-age kids, because a lot of those kids are lacking. When the teachers made the transition from the in-school to digital learning, like, they were forced to do it fast, and now there's an unbalanced nature to the students that are excelling and the students that require a lot more time. These students are still getting a lot of attention, and these students that are excelling are lacking things to do, and they're getting these busy work and they're not feeling challenged. So something like this can work as like a component or kind of an add-on to somebody's curriculum to kind of give them one more challenge or one more thing to do. Cool. I would love for this thing to double in size potentially. Like, we're at 32 pages right now, potentially upwards of 60 pages, I think would be insane. It would get really hard to produce. I couldn't do it on my printer right here, but that would be neat. I don't think we have any, like, I don't ever see it getting like a little more reserved so that there's like the poetry section, the media section, the music section.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? Like, but also it's so not a traditional magazine. It's kind of like it rails against everything that is a traditional magazine, in the sense that, yeah, nobody's getting paid, and and that's the thing. That's the other thing. Like, if we end up some crazy reason we make some money off of this, that money's going to get donated. Like, that money's going to go either right back to this educational program. It's going to go to the students. Like, it's going to get used. It's not going to go to somebody's pocket. Because that's the point of this fucking thing. The point of this thing is to share the experience and continue our amazing community. So, like, how do we continue doing that? How do we keep taking this good, reel it back in, and potentially help it build something?
Can you see this? Can you see you guys dropping this off at, at like a New Tradition or a place like that, like on the table, kind of like Worcester Magazine, but like the next generation of Worcester Magazine in a way? So
again, to do that, you need the advertisers, you need the money to produce. I'd love to give this thing away. That's why we can do it digitally, give it away for free, because it doesn't really cost us anything other than time. To give away a printed version would require some funding and require some, I don't know if I'll ever do that. I might give like a shop copy to New Tradition, like have a couple copies for people to read in shop. And if they walk when they walk. But the idea of giving away, it creates a lot of waste. Like, that's the thing that always bothered me about the Worcester mags, was just seeing that stack on the rack that nobody knew was there. And like the one person that requested it there grabbed their copy, and there's like 10 weeks of issues sitting there that are going right to a bin.
Yeah.
And that bums me out. So I don't want to get into that type of, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'd love for people to want it that badly and see it. But again, we're not really news. We're more of experience.
Yeah, but I think that, so, okay, I guess I can only speak on this as like a personal, from a personal point of view. But like, I never read Worcester Magazine. I don't care about what's in there. And also, by the time it comes out, what's in there outside of like the interviews that are obviously like exclusive interviews, but like the news aspect of it, like you're getting all that on Twitter or Facebook, or Mass Live dropped it 4 days before your issue came out. Like, I just feel like the traditional printed news aspect is dead, but the idea of reading, especially something that kind of holds stuff like you were saying, from like a 9-year-old all the way up to 40 or whatever, like holding something and going through that is more intriguing to me, because it is an experience, and like you don't really know like what's going to be on the next page. I think that's a really cool thing. Like, I don't know, it's almost like a digital, or like a traditional TikTok. Like, I don't know if you follow TikTok, like when you flip up, like you don't know who's coming, because you know what I mean? It's like the algorithm is not based on who you're following. And this zine kind of reminds me of that, where it's like, yeah, like I'm looking at this cartoon from whatever, and then when I turn the page, here's a drawing from a 9-year-old, or here's a poem from a 32-year-old that's going through whatever. Like, I don't know. There's just, it's almost like a new adventure every time you turn the page.
Yeah. I love spastic. I mean, that's why I cover this thing behind me with stickers, and it looks madness. Like, I love the idea of just random.
I don't know where my laptop is, but that's also covered in stickers.
Yeah, dude. I love that feeling, because that's how I get inspired. I get inspired by randomness. I get inspired by the variety of life. So to capture that, or to kind of capture our community in a magazine, is really the goal. I'm glad to hear that it's resonating.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, issue 2 will come out probably beginning of June. So we're going to be finalizing the layout for that in the next couple days, and then see where it goes. Probably roll it for the summer.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, given what we heard today and what I know of what's coming.
Yeah.
Keep it open. It would be cool to have this be a thing that would also help push business to businesses, like help to businesses, and like do a release, like a comic release or like a music release, where you have to go to the store to pick it up, or you have to go like pre-order it from them to pick it up. There's just a little bit of a complication in terms of creating groups, but
yeah,
that would be cool if we use this to kind of fuel some more good like that.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Sweet.
Stokes and Pokes.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Take it away, Solon.
Schools closed, Tom Hanks, trouble in the big banks, no vaccine, quarantine, no more toilet paper scene, travel ban, Weinstein, panic, COVID-19, NBA gone away, what else do I have to say? It's time for Stokes and Pokes now, it's time to do Stokes and Pokes. Something like that. We could work around with whatever's going to work. We'll see.
Thank you, buddy. That song is never going to get old, but I don't know why. I love Billy Joel like that.
Best. It's the absolute best.
So I am poking. We're going to keep this kind of short because we're running long. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you got to this point, I'm going to poke. If anybody's tried using Instacart, holy shit, is that a fiasco at times. I love the idea of shopping. Like Sarah and I were stoned sitting on the couch doing our grocery shopping, and that was incredible. Like, oh yeah, we need 4 bags of goldfish. This absolutely is what we need. And that was chill. It was the day that the person went shopping, and I'm watching this person do like the live substitutions. If you've never done it, if an item is unavailable, they'll say, if this is unavailable, can I substitute this? The first couple times, it was within like the realm of understanding. It tended to be a little more expensive. We went for store brand. They offered us the name brand. If the store brand really wasn't there, that's fine. I could fucking that. But then like these very weird suggestions started coming in. Like the first one was enchilada sauce. They ran out of enchilada sauce. So she gave us pasta sauce. And I'm like, no. Get the enchilada sauce from the different person. It's not Italian, it's Mexican. It's a whole different ball. I don't want to sit here whining because I didn't have to go to the store and I paid somebody to do my grocery shopping. But holy shit, it's so badly wrong. Like, all right, my favorite was we asked for craisins. Instead of craisins, we got sliced frozen strawberries. because they're the same thing.
They're not even close.
They're the same thing, Ricky. Ask for whole bean coffee. We got K-Cups. Same thing.
What?
I don't even have a K-Cup brewer. So we will not be using Instacart again.
No, that's miserable.
I'll just go to the fucking store and wait for a couple hours. That's fine. I had to try it. I had to know, but it's not for me. What I am stoked on is that I got my new t-shirt today. I dropped off with Jess and her husband John, and I were kind of screwing around making some new designs for hardcore hockey fans. It's an account he runs at Hardcore Hockey Fans, where we're going to be putting up some t-shirts. We like he loves Violent Gentlemen, and he loves that they have the partnership with the NHL, but they're missing like some smaller time hockey. And I think there's also, him and I talked about how there's like a lot of overlap between hardcore fans and hockey fans. So making some general, maybe they don't like necessarily call it any team, they're just hockey inspired hardcore shirts would be fun.
Yeah.
So we released the first one, which was the Black Flag 4 goalie pads. This is like your traditional hardcore, kind of just like the back rocker shirt.
Yeah.
Ugly goals count.
Dope.
We got some more shit coming. But yeah, if people want to buy this, they are available for purchase. Hardcore Hockey Fans on Instagram.
Sweet. I dig it.
That's what I got.
Cool. I don't have a poke, but I'm going to go with two Stokes. They're quick.
Yeah.
They're so like.
Stoke it away.
Yeah, I had to. Okay, so my first one is Bagel Time. Shout out Bagel Time for being the greatest. I've always liked Bagel Time. I have a whole new appreciation for them. They very much so get this time. It's easy to order through them. They're the nicest people. I have no idea who the same girl came to the door the last couple times I've done it. She's who I order with. I order right through Instagram DM, which is amazing. I don't know who she is. She has a mask on, obviously, but she's very, 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 very awesome. She writes the Seltzer Time on my bag, which is dope. And my food's been freaking incredible. So shout out Bagel Time. You guys are killing it right now. Everybody I've talked to who has ordered from them has said the exact same thing. It's a great experience. There's no confusion at all.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and I know that they've been doing a lot of like huge orders and donating bagels and sending lunch to hospitals and stuff. Like they're absolutely killing it. I can't say enough nice things about them. And I will for sure be ordering another sandwich later this week, if not tomorrow. So.
I saw that come through on the Seltzer Time the messages, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, son of a bitch, that sounds so good,
dude. It's just like
egg and cheese.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I got no egg, and so she's like, "Do you want like double bacon, double cheese?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." It was perfect. Like, it was awesome. I almost never get eggs on my breakfast sandwiches unless I make it at home. I don't know why. It's just a thing. I got egg the last time, and it was good. It's fine. It's just like, I don't know what it is about that. But, yeah, the double bacon, the double cheese on an everything bagel, it was a beautiful, beautiful sandwich. So, shout out Bagel Time. And then also she, like, followed up the last couple times, like, later in the day, too. She's like, "Hey, how was your sandwich?" And I was like, "Oh, it was amazing. Like, thank you so much." Like, you know, it was just like, it's like a little thing, but, like, it obviously like stuck in my mind, and I think about ordering Bagel Time all the time now. So
that's customer service, 100%.
Yeah, no, they absolutely kill it. So shout out Bagel Time. My other stoke is Maker to Maine. I went there on Friday, and I'd kind of gone through their online ordering thing just to see like, you know, what Lynn had in store. I wasn't sure if they were running like the full capacity store, if they were breaking it down to just a couple things were available. Looks like she's running everything. I know you can go in there now. I went in there. Okay. You got to wear a mask and all that, but yeah, I ended up getting like one of the best pulled porks I've ever had in my entire life. You buy it. I forget what farm it comes from. I have a picture. I can post it later, but it's like already like packaged or whatever. You just bring it home and like throw it in a pan, warm it up or whatever. It was absolutely incredible. So I did that. I got some ice cream, which is freaking great. The Maple Valley Farms, I think, is the ice cream they use. So good. And what else did I get from them?
Got some dough.
Oh, I got that at Crust.
Oh.
Oh, I got radishes too. I haven't actually.
You're showing off your haul, and I was envious of that.
Yeah, so I went to North Maine and bought a bunch of stuff, and then I went, like 2 blocks down, went to Make It a Maine and got stuff there. But then the next day, we went for like a huge walk, and we were walking back past Make It a Maine. So we went in, and they have these little like ice cream sandwiches. It's like 2 cookies with ice cream in the middle. That same farm, Maple Valley Farm. I'm pretty sure it's Maple Valley Farm. But it's chocolate dipped. So like the whole thing is encased in like milk chocolate. It was unbelievably good. Like I want one right now. It's so bad. So I got that, and I got this really cool, kind of like a seltzer, but it was like sap water or something. It was water or tree water. Yeah, it was called tree water, but it was cucumber, and they use the water from when they tap trees to get maple syrup. So it has like a little bit of sweetness to it. It was like I want to get a whole case of it. It was incredible. So shout out them. They make it very easy to order, very easy to pay in store. It's clean. They're the best. Her food's incredible. So
around here, you're supporting good people.
Yeah, that's the move. So I'm doubling up on the Stokes.
I love
They're both edible places because I love to eat.
Bandana Boy's super positive.
That's it. That's how it needs to be.
Well, I am positive that I need to go use the bathroom and wrap this thing up.
Dude, Sam, I was going to say, like, I had to pee so bad. I drank, like, an entire glass of iced tea and almost this entire seltzer, and I'm like, oh, my God. And I had a coffee, too, earlier.
I just have empties sitting next to me. I'm like, oh, my God. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you very much for supporting us as much as you guys have. SeltzerTime.com is the website if you want to find us. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog. If you want to find me on the internet, I'm at Hunchback Travis.
If you want to find me, I am at DickChuck77, Seltzer Time Official, now Stub Stories. I'm all over the internet. Every Instagram account you can think of, I have one. So
yeah, love it.
Do it.
I'll see you around the internet, my dude.
Hey, you as well. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening. Check out the stuff we talked about. Sorry for partying.
Do it.